Hello, this video is a complete demonstration of AML Shield India, an AI-powered anti-money laundering detection system. The project addresses a critical problem in Indian financial regulations. Under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002, all scheduled banks are legally required to detect and report suspicious transactions to the Financial Intelligence Unit of India. However, the traditional rule based system failed because they apply uniform thresholds to accounts with fundamentally different economic behavior. Our system solved this through three components. Number one, a behavioral profiling engine that creates separate risk baselines for different account types. Two, a machine learning model called isolation forest for statical anomaly detection. Third, a graph analytics layer using page rank, depth first search, and weakly connected components to detect the network level fraud patterns. I will walk you through the dashboard of our project. Hmm. The dashboard is hosted on Netlify. I am currently on the salaried employee profile. The profile banner at the top describes the behavior baseline for the this archetype. Hmm. The seven KPI cards show the key metrics for these profiles. 39 accounts, 3 classified as high risk, 21 out of 484 flagged by rule based classification, rule based logic, 19 flagged by the 19 flagged by the ML model, 6 false positive, and an average transaction value of approximately 28,000 rupees. The three donut charts below show the risk distribution across the accounts, the account type breakdown, and the transaction category composition. In this salaried profile, salary, expense, and peer to peer transfer dominate, which is consistent with expected behavior for this economic archetype. The live alert field The live alert field shows the most recent suspicious transaction with their pattern classification, structuring below the 50,000 rupee reporting threshold. Round trip, loan transfers to Shell, LLPs, and a salary diversion chain, passing through three Shell entities. Now, switching to a business profile. Observe how every panel updates simultaneously. The average transaction amounts increases from 28,000 to 28 lakh, a factor of 100. The flagged rate increases from 4.3% to 8.3%. The transaction category shifts to B2B vendor payments, GST challans, and advanced tax patterns consistent with GST registered commercial entities with annual turnovers between 25 lakh and 6 crore rupees. Now switching to Hawala. Switching to the Hawala network, this is the most severe profile. 84% of all transactions are flagged. The risk distribution donut is predominantly red. Predominantly red. The alert field shows exclusive criminal patterns, cash aggression, layering chains, circular rings, and extraction back to front businesses. This profile contains 84 88 front businesses, 12 Hawala operators, and 6 Benami accounts, 26 entities in total. Moving to the Network Graph tab. This is a force-directed graph built with d3.js where every node represents an account and every directed edge represents a transaction. Node color indicates risk level. Red for high risks above 60%, above 60%, and yellow for medium, green for low. The pulsing rings identify the highest risk nodes in the network. In the Hawala network, the structure is immediately visible. The front businesses appears on periphery. Hawala operators cluster at the center with high connectivity, and other accounts appear at the terminal edges of the money flow. Applying the flagged filter. Applying the flagged filter reduces the graph to only suspicious transaction edges. This collapses the legitimate cover transaction and reveals only the criminal network. The aggression flow from fronts to operators, the layering change between the operators and the circular rings. Hmm. Clicking on any node displays the full account profile. In the right panel, name, bank, risk scores, risk scores, page rank, uh, page rank, total transactions, and the count of rules flagged versus ML flagged transactions of that account. ML anomaly links, flagged links. Hmm. Now next move on to ML anomalies. The anomalies filter show only transactions the isolation forest identified as statically unusual. Note that this does not perfectly overlap with the rule-based flag set, particularly in the Havala dataset. This is an important finding I will explain in ethics tab. Hmm. Now let's move on to the transaction tab. The transaction tab represents the complete ledger. Each row shows the transaction ID, score, source, account, target, account, amount in Indian rupees, payment. The transaction tab represents the complete ledger. Each row shows the transaction ID, source, ac- account, targeted account, amount in Indian rupees, payment mode, category, note, date, rule based flag, the ML anomaly score, and the ML flag. Hmm. Now, moving on to the flagged tab. Sorting by amount descending. Hmm. Surfaces the highest value suspicious transactions. Observe the ML score column. Alongside each row, a red score above 0.58 indicates the ML model agrees with the rule flag. A green score below the 0.45 indicates disagreement. This transaction was flagged by rules but considered statistically normal by the ML model. These are the false positive candidates requiring manual compilation review. Now, moving to the ethics tab. The ethics and bias tab is the core of the project. It directly addresses the five principles of ethical AI: fairness, transparency, accountability, privacy, and harm prevention. The confusion matrices are computed separately for each of the three datasets. True positives are transactions correctly identified as fraudulent. The true negatives are clean transactions correctly cleared. False positive are legitimate transactions wrongly flagged and ethical harm to honest customers. False negatives are actual fraud missed by the rules but the potentially caught by the ML model. Hmm. In the business data set, the 25 false positives out of 300 transactions represents an 8.3% false positive rate. Each of this represents a legitimate vendor payment that was flagged as suspicious with real consequences for the business relationship and the compliance officer's workload. Hmm. The ML the ML versus rule agreement. The ML versus the rule agreement matrix 97.9% for salaried, 3% for salaried, 91.3% for businesses, and 20.5% for Hawala network. The law agreement in the Hawala dataset is not a model failure, it is an ethics finding. It demonstrates that the rule based systems and the ML anomaly detections are complementary. Rules catch the known patterns, isolation forest catches the statistical outliers. Neither method alone is sufficient. Both signals together minimize the false negatives. Minimize the false negatives. Minimizes the false negatives. Hmm. Point to the ML score distribution histogram. Now, the ML anomaly score distribution isolation forest. The anomaly score histogram shows the isolation forest output distribution across all 873 transactions. Clean transaction clusters between 0.5 the 0.3 and 0.45. 0.45. The tail above the threshold line at the 0.58 represents represents the transaction the model considers statically anomalous. The visual separation validates that the model is functioning as designed. Model is functioning as designed. To summarize the complete project, the data sets of salaried employees, businessmen, and Hawala networks uh, totaling 99 accounts and 873 transactions, all in Indian rupees with realistic temporal patterns and Indian institutional context. The machine learning layer implements isolation forest from first principles, 50 isolation trees, 7 transaction features, anomaly scoring with BST normalized path length with 0 external library dependencies. The graph analytic layer applies PageRank for hub detection, depth first search for circular ring detection, and weakly connected components for criminal cluster isolation. The ethics framework addresses five principles: fairness through profiling, appropriate baselines, transparency through explicit reasoning tracking, accountability through human in loop design, privacy through system synthetic data, and harm prevention through explicit false positive measurement and display. All legitimately alignment is documented. The complete project is accessible on the live dashboard on Netlify. Thank you for your time.